Okay, so we're going to start today really digging into the part of the Yoga Sutras that when I first started studying them, I was given some advice I was grateful for that said, I kind of focus on this part because when you're new to this book, there's a lot. And you're going to read it a bunch of times if you go down this path of yoga. So don't get wrapped around the axle trying to really digest everything the first time around. And if you are going to put your attention somewhere, put it on book 2 and the yamas and the niyamas, which we're going to go into now. So I want to set the stage for what this sutra is about. Let's start just by reading the sutra. We're using this translation. You guys know that. And I'm going to read what he says in Sutra 228, which is where we are in our journey, which is also can be the beginning of maybe your first time really looking at these teachings intensely. So this sutra in English says, by the practice of the limbs of yoga, the impurities dwindle away, and there dawns the light of wisdom, leading to discriminative discernment. By practicing the limbs of yoga, we become wise, and we start to have this ability to do discriminative discernment. Okay, and we learned 2 sutras ago in 226 that uninterrupted discriminative discernment is the method for removing ignorance. So if you can, without interruption, discern what's real, ignorance will go away. And the second sutra in the whole book told us, Sutra 1-2, if we can restrain the modifications or the fluctuations of our mind, that's yoga. So our mind is very adept at creating all kinds of stories. And those stories aren't the truth of reality. They're our version. And if we practice yoga, which has 8 limbs, we'll start to get good at discerning what's real and what's not real. So, I do want to also talk about 229 because we're kind of left hanging. If we practice the limbs of yoga, we'll get wise and we will no longer have ignorance. Well, what are those 8 limbs? So 229 just lists them out. There's not really any commentary because that's coming. So in the coming attractions, here's the 8 limbs of yoga. The first one is yama, which our author translates as abstinence, yama. The second one is niyama, which is translated as observance. Another way of thinking about these is the yamas, there are 5 of them, are things we should do. Are things we should not do. You should abstain from harming. You should abstain from stealing. You should abstain from coveting your neighbor's wife. I mean, it sounds all very familiar. So that's what the yamas are. And then the niyamas are more prescriptive. They're like, you should do these things. You should keep yourself clean, mind and body. You should sit still. So yamas and niyamas. And then asana is the 3rd limb. Most of us, I'm assuming, familiar with that, the postures of yoga. Pranayama is the 4th limb, breath control. Another thing that we do if we are in the practice of asana. And then the 5th limb is pratyahara, sense withdrawal. The 6th is concentration. The word in Sanskrit is dharana. The 7th is meditation, dhyana. And then the final limb is samadhi, which is the superconscious state. It's the highest state that we can reach. And it can happen here in our body or in the afterlife. So anyways, all the way up to here, 124 pages into this book, he's finally said, okay, this is how you do it. You practice the 8 limbs of yoga. And what happens is you learn to see what's real and what's not real. You cultivate the witness that can observe the fluctuations of the mind and say, oh yeah, not real. Or, oh, I wonder what's happening here. So today we're going to practice some discriminative discernment. Any questions or comments before we begin? Okay. Well, wherever you are, whatever animals might be near you, go ahead and create a posture for yourself that is alert and relaxed. And then you're invited to close or lower your eyes so that you're essentially coming into this pratyahara. So withdrawing from the sense of sight and all of the stimulation that comes in through our eyes. Starting to bring our gaze inward. And from that inward place, get a sense of your foundation. So without even having to look, sense into what you're supported by, your chair, your floor, your cushion, whatever it is. And allow the support to actually support you. So if there's a little bit of resistance in your seat, soften. Begin by anchoring your attention to something that is stable and easeful for you. So I use the breath as my anchor in my own practice. It's noticing the breath in and the breath out. If the breath is not stable or simple for you, maybe it's the sensation in your hands. Notice if your mind, even if it's just noticing your breath, is making things up. Oh, my breath is short. Maybe I'm catching a cold. And the story that might go with whatever you're layering on what's right here. And then it's a practice of saying, is it true? Did I make that up? And the recognition of the fluctuations of our mind is the practice. I made that up. What's actually true? Is it true that I'm just sitting and breathing and it has no meaning? It just is. So the invitation is, as we sit today, to just notice what you're making up, what you're adding. Start to discern what's real and what's just a fluctuation of your mind. Sometimes in my own practice, I'll feel regret. Like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. My words were unkind. And what the sutras teach us is, if we follow the yamas and the niyamas, and we start to practice nonviolence in our way of being with others, some of that regret will fall away. We all know when we tell a lie, there's more lies to keep that story going. More fluctuations of our mind and our interactions with others when we don't follow just the basic rules of goodness. Don't lie. guides tell us if we practice asana and pranayama, the movement and the breath, we'll have a better ability to discern what's real. I don't know about you, but I definitely find that when I'm not practicing, there are a lot more untrue fantasies in my head. Stories about what's not okay. Just a general sense of dis-ease. Back to your anchor. Let go of any story. When I catch myself telling stories, a little voice says, "Oh, there you go again." And come back to your breath. breath. We'll do that one more time. Just right as you are, bigger, fuller breath. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So what these sutras are teaching us is that we can create a prison of our own mind, or we can be free. And the way to figure out how to be free is to follow the 8 limbs of yoga. Like there's a map in here. It's like, do these things and you will suffer less. And one of those is to get on your mat and do yoga asana. Another is to sit still and learn to focus your mind. So, not next week, but starting on August 4th, we're going to start going through what I call the meatiest part of the Yoga Sutras. And some of you guys have been coming for a while. This will be a fun journey. And I'm also inviting people who haven't been with us, maybe to jump in now. I'm going to post this on YouTube and share it with some people. If you have friends, those of you that have been coming for a while, that are like, oh, I feel like I'm too late to get into this thing, it's like kind of the perfect time to start studying the Yoga Sutras if you're new to them, or even if you've been doing this for a while. So tell your friends. Questions, comments, insights? All right, well, namaste. I'll see you guys next time.